What's happening, everybody? It's Sean with Reactions to the Classics. Today we got another Ayreon reaction. We got Universal Migrator Part 1, the Dream Sequencer. So we're gonna split this album into two parts, which is the way he released it originally, but I'll get to that later. Brought to you by my friend, longtime supporter and patron of the channel, River. Thank you, River. Appreciate you. Appreciate all the patrons who make this thing go. If you'd like to support us in any way, check out that Patreon link below or the Patreon link on the end screen. We couldn't do it without the patrons. You're going to give a one-time reaction, one-time gift. Check out our Buy Me a Coffee page, also linked below. All right, River's the expert on this. River says Universal Migrator is the fourth album under the Ayreon project headed by Ayreon Anthony Lucassen. Part 1, the Dream Sequencer, yet again is telling part of the overall Ayreon overarching story. A colonist, the last human being alive on Mars, enters a tool called the Dream Sequencer to try to live out his last days in comfort, reliving the past lives his soul had been. A woman in the last World War of 2084, Queen Elizabeth I, a man witnessing the construction of Stonehenge, etc. Each track after My House on Mars is him reliving one of these lives. And as each track progresses, note the way the music shifts from the dark, dreary, and almost morbid start of My House on Mars to And the Druids Turn to Stone or First Man on Earth. The album has a very peaceful feeling to it. It's one I go to when I want something relaxing on in the background. It very much gives me serious Pink Floyd energy throughout the first half of this dual release, which the part 2 is the polar opposite of that. I mean, I've never heard either one of these, but I'd researched it out. All right, I found, these are my words, number 90 in Germany. So it did go somewhere in Germany, right? 90. The Dream Sequencer features a musical style quite disparate from its counterpart, which I was talking about, Flight of the Migrator, which will be next month's review. Telling the story of a trip through time from a variety of perspectives, it features a prog-infused atmospheric feeling with a softer and more melodic sound than that of Flight of the Migrator. Both albums were released simultaneously, sold well, and received positively. In 2004, he moved to a new record label, Inside Out Music, and with the move came reissues of all of the previous Ayreon releases, including this one. The special edition reissue merged both albums into a single release, which might be what you have if you have these albums, but titled Universal Migrator, Parts 1 and 2. After the success of the previous Ayreon release, Into the Electric Castle, Ayreon felt he had to create an album that was a worthy release all on its own, without being derivative or treading on similar ground. To this end, he made some fundamental changes to his previous composition process. He decided to have each vocalist only sing one track each. That is definitely going to be different, as opposed to the almost conversational rock opera style singing, which was utilized in previous albums. Now, the reason why he sold it in two releases, he believed his fans to be fundamentally divided into two groups by genre of choice, being either prog rock or heavy metal. So the Dream Sequencer was meant to appeal to the prog enthusiast, and Flight of the Migrator, the next album, will be to the heavy metal fan. His surprise was that they sold almost exactly the same, like fans just bought both. The story of this continues the plot, and I'm going to hit this again, even though River did a good job of breaking it down, because the plot in these albums is so important. It continues the plot found in the final experiment, starting in the year 2084, when the final World War wiped out all life on Earth. During the final years of fighting on Earth, a number of humans escaped to live on Mars. These people brought supplies with them, but with Earth ravaged, there's no way to replenish the resources, like you have what you have, right? And soon almost all humans perished. The Dream Sequencer tells the story of the last human being alive, living alone on the Martian colony. Born of the earliest settlers on Mars, he never lived on Earth and could only experience it through a machine known as the Dream Sequencer. Developed by scientists on Mars to curb boredom, it uses a form of hypnosis that allows the user to travel back in time to their youth, or even farther beyond, to previous incarnations of their persistent selves. The colonist uses the machine and revisits his own youth, living on Mars and eventually reliving many of his past lives, which River broke down pretty well. All lyrics are written by Ayreon, except where I note all music is composed by him except My House on Mars, which was him and John Edwin. I'm not going to have the music in the video. It will get blocked eventually if it doesn't get blocked right away, and then then the whole thing will be gone. So there's a Vimeo link below. Check that out if you want to hear the music. And on something like this, you kind of need to hear the music, but maybe you know it inside out. Let's jump into it. With the title track, The Dream Sequencer. The digitized voices on the song were provided by Lana Wayne and Eric Norlander. Songs about the colonist's preparation to use the Dream Sequencer and the orders given by the machine. After the spoken words, it plays a background music, which is in fact the track, The Dream Sequencer, that supposedly finishes on the 11th track, The Dream Sequencer reprise. All right, I'm going to have the lyrics up as always. You have to on this. Thanks again, River. All right, The Dream Sequencer. Only lyrics or words for a minute 19, then it just takes us off. And the ambiance kind of what we're doing, because he's getting in the dream sequencer. And there's a booklet that came with the album where our main character is writing. And so the main character says, it's the 22nd century. I'm the last of the Mars colonists. The air supply has almost run out on this desolate Mars colony, and the food supplies from Earth have stopped arriving since the final war of 2084. I'm walking through the tunnel towards our recreation machine called the Dream Sequencer. I hope it will sweeten my final days. I mean, he's going to die. He's got no supplies, right? Good way to start off. I mean, it sets the table. We go to the second track, My House on Mars. Vocals on this one provided by Johan Edwin of Tiamat and Ford Jansen, of course, of After Forever and Nightwish. Edwin is also the composer of the song's vocal melody. All right, My House on Mars. A really good job of being angry at parts arrangement-wise, into melancholy and almost sad, because he's taking this journey. He's thinking about all the memories and things he never got to do. Now, he says in the album notes, as the character, it's the end of the 21st century. I've returned to my own childhood. I remember it all as the dream sequencer images mixed with my own recollections. This is the day my sister and I realized we would never see the planet Earth. And he gets that in one of the, I'll never smell the ocean breeze. I'll never climb the highest trees. I'll never feel the burning sun. I'll never meet my chosen one in my house. He's saying he's born in the house on Mars. He'll die in the house on Mars. He starts out kind of lamenting the fact that his dad died in the war. Why'd you even have to do that? So it does a very good job of like taking you into this character, because you got to kind of put yourself in the character's perspective, right? He didn't get to do all these things, and now he's going to die. So he's got to reflect on all these things he didn't get to do. And I mean, this kind of death is not a fun death, right? You're out of provisions. In other words, you're going to starve to death. So yeah, not a lot of fun going on. So he can be a little pissed off for a minute. Now we go to 2084. Lane, she's back on vocals here, Lana Lane. And, this is the year where the final ending of Earth happens. So let's see what happens here. All right, 2084. Really well done. I mean, it says in the notes, it's a 21st century. The final experiment has failed, because a verse in here throws back to that album as well. The final devastating war is foretold by the blind minstrel Ayreon has indeed come to pass. The war has destroyed all life on Earth, making it completely uninhabitable. I hover above my own dead body. So her, in this case, Lana Lane, is singing this. She's hovering over her body, and like destruction of Earth has come. So we know it's a previous life and not this life, because our protagonist, who is sometimes a guy maybe and sometimes a woman, like that's kind of, I'm looking at who's singing on all these. I always thought of it as a man, but who knows, right? Who cares, it really? But they did not see the Earth. So this is one of their previous lives, I think, that he's going to when he's writing this one. But that's what I got out of it. Now let's go to One Small Step. Edward Reekers and Lana Lane on vocals here. According to Ayreon, the song tells of the events he lived during the first crewed lunar landing, the Apollo 11 mission. Uses the famous words of Neil Armstrong, that's one small step for a man, one giant leap for mankind. The song contains samples from the voices of astronauts recorded during moon landings. So Lana's doing the backing and Edward's doing the main vocals on this one. These songs are all long, guys. I'm not a fan of long songs, but this is the exception to the rule with him, because it's telling a story, right? We're listening to a play, more or less. So it doesn't really matter how long the songs are, because it's really just one long act. We just divide it up into songs. All right, One Small Step. It starts out, his dad is coming in and waking him up because the moon landing is happening. And when he goes back to sleep, he decides he doesn't want to be the man to walk on the moon. As he sits in that tank, he's realizing where he doesn't want to be the last man left on Mars. So very powerful. All right, next up, a fifth song. We have the Shooting Company of Captain Franz B. Koch. We got on vocals, we have Mouse from Tuesday Child, backing vocals by Lana. Her backing vocals are so fantastic on this. So are lead vocals, but this lends that ambiance. Makes reference to Captain Franz Bonnet Koch and his militia, immortalized on the painting The Night Watch by, of course, Dutch painter Rembrandt from the Dutch Golden Age in 1642. In the song's title, Ayreon makes use of a title which is considered the most accurate for the painting. All right, in the album notes, it says it's the 17th century. I'm noble ensign bearer, posing with my guild for the Dutch master painter Rembrandt in Amsterdam. So he's in this battle, right? And just kind of gets this battle and talks about it. This is the first song for me that drugged a little bit. I thought the instrumentation on it was a bit too long, but I mean, I'm nitpicking here. And if you're talking like River does and just chills with it, I can get it. Just for me, it drug on a little bit, but that's because it's a really long album. But it works in the ambiance of it for sure. It's fine. Next up, we have Dragon on the Sea. Vocals on the song were provided by Lana Wayne. Eric Norlander is the writer of the song's lyrics for the most part. This song makes reference to Queen Elizabeth I of England and the speech to the troops at Tilbury, given by her in July 1588 on the light of an attack by the Spanish Armada, which consisted of a grand naval fleet of 130 ships bearing over 30,000 men. The English fleet won the battle under the leadership of Sir Francis Drake, the, quote, Dragon of the Sea, and Charles Howard, 1st Earl of Nottingham. I mean, you probably already knew all that, but I just thought I'd reinforce it for you. All right, Dragon on the Sea, just like we talked about. I mean, the album notes say it's the 16th century. I am Queen Elizabeth sending out the brave Sir Francis Drake to defend the English realm against the invading Armada. I thought the arrangement on here was fantastic, the atmosphere, because you're sending them out to war, right? And it's a very, very somber occasion because many of them are going to die, but you've got to encourage them that you have to do this or we're all going to die. So it's a tricky little thing for leaders who had to do this back in the day. It doesn't have to be done now necessarily, not at least in developed nations because the system's entirely different, but really enjoyed that one. All right, we got 4 songs left and our shortest 2 songs next by far because almost all these songs are 7 minutes into 8-minute range. We got Temple of the Cat, Jacqueline Govert of Crazip, I know I butchered all that, is on vocals here. Makes reference to the Mayan civilization and Maya mythology taking place circa the 8th century. According to Ayreon, it speaks especially about the Jaguar Temple in the city of Tikal. Certain samples used in the song come from an authentic Maya festival. Now, I found that Ayreon had stated that this is his least favorite Ayreon song. I don't know. All right, Temple of the Cat, it fades out with the wind because the next song is called Carried by the Wind, so it fades out nicely there. It's not one of the best songs on here by any means. I'm not sure I loved her vocals on this, but, him saying it's his least favorite song. I guess something's got to be your least favorite song, but I'm just saying all to say it's not a bad song. He says in the liner notes, it's an 8th century. I'm a Mayan girl heading for the Jaguar Temple in Tikal on the Central American continent, which we kind of already knew that, but, I'm reading these notes every time. Now we'll get up to the aforementioned Carried by the Wind. It's influenced by Irish folk music and makes reference to the blind minstrel Ayreon, one of the protagonists from the final experiment. All right, Carried by the Wind was sung by Ayreon. In the notes, it just says, it's the 6th century. This is where it all began. My tired body has passed away, but my once tortured spirit is finally free now. My name is Ayreon. So he's on Mars. He realizes it just didn't work out on Earth and all that good stuff. So we have 2 songs left. We really have 3, and I'll explain how you got to get to this third one when we get to it. It's just an instrumental, but I'll explain that. But let's move on to The Druids Turn to Stone. This song makes reference to the Stonehenge, a monument located near Amesbury in the English county of Wiltshire, which is believed to have mainly been built between 2500 BC and 2000 BC. Due to the uncertainty regarding the origins of the monument, Ayreon proposes a fantasy explanation that a group of druids was turned to stone by means of magic and thus became the Stonehenge. Vocals on the song provided by Damian Wilson. All right, and The Druids Turn to Stone. Album notes say it's 2800 BC. I quietly witnessed the astounding secret behind the creation of a mysterious monument in Wiltshire, England, obviously Stonehenge, and that's what it's about. Nice vocal performance, nice ambience like there is on basically this whole album. Over to the last proper song. We got The First Man on Earth. This song makes reference to the appearance of the first Homo sapiens on Earth circa 50,000 BC, if you believe that. Vocals on the song provided by Neil Morse, ex-frontman of Spock's Beard, and backing vocals were provided by Mark McCrite, or McCrete. All right, The First Man on Earth. Also a nice bookend here. It's 50,000 BC. The world's almost empty. Nature is still untouched by man. Off in the distance, a clan of ape-like creatures gather near a cliffside. But I'm the first to stand. I must be. So, it started out, we're 2084, and now we're going back to the very beginning of Earth, or his perspective. I liked the line, this place has all that I need. No computers, glowing screens, no industrial machines. Somehow it all seems surreal. Memories of days gone by. A slowly fading scene. I thought that was pretty cool. Now we're going to get to the Dream Sequencer reprise or reprise, however you want to say that word. I've seen it both times. Some fans believe the song is at the end of the background music played on the Dream Sequencer track after the machine gave all the instructions to the colonist. Thus, due to the song's end, it can be interpreted as if the Dream Sequencer is turned off. The idea is supported by the fact that in the beginning of the next album, I don't want to ruin it for you, Flight of the Migrator, which is next month, remember, the Dream Sequencer speaks again some orders and warnings. Now, the only thing I'm going to tell you is tricky because the way this album is presented on Spotify is it's presented as one album. And so they They sequence the Dream Sequencer reprise at the end of disc 2. It's not really where it should be. It should be right here. So just so you know, if you're listening to it, like if you want to listen to the whole album, you're going to have to pull that out and play it next, which of course, obviously, I'm doing for us here. All right, the reprise of the Dream Sequencer. I thought that was very Pink Floydish at the start. I also thought in the Druids Turn to Stone, the 9th song, were also very Pink Floydish, as River mentioned that at the start. But, I mean, we're just finishing off, we're booking it, which has got to kind of book in these things when it's an album this long and this kind of concept. Now we're getting to my favorite tracks. I say this every time I do one of these albums, Ayreon albums. I don't know, man. It's a whole piece of art, man. I guess I'll go with My House on Mars, One Small Step, Dragon on the Sea. I don't know. I mean, there's none of these songs I go back and listen to just on their own, but they're not really meant to do that, right? You're going to sit down and you're going to listen to this whole thing. You're not going to probably do it in the way I do and break everything down, but you kind of got to understand the album if you're going to listen to it. So that's why I enjoy doing these for River, because if you watch this first while you're listening to the album, then you go back and listen to the album later and you get a really good understanding of the story. Overall score, I don't know, man. It's interesting on these as well, right? I guess I'm going to be at an 8.0. I think the vibe of it's really good. I'm going to listen to this album again at night. I mean, it's at night right now, but at night where I'm not, doing anything but vibing to the album. And I think I'm going to get the same feel that River has from it. It's a good chill album. But let me know what you think down below. Remember, part 2 coming next month. What are your favorite tracks? Do you have any? Where do you rank it in Ayreon's catalog? All that good fun stuff. If you haven't already, give it a thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button. Check out the Ayreon playlist. Just type Ayreon up above and you're going to see a bunch of the albums. If you're not watching this when it dropped, you might see all of them. Who knows? All right, guys. Until next time, I will see you.